Hello and welcome back. This is where we paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales, and I'm going to be doing a lovely scene from Greece today. I visited Greece several times throughout my lifetime, and I think the place is absolutely fantastic. So this is just my take. It could be a Spanish scene, it could be a Sorrento scene, it could be any type of Mediterranean scenery. In fact, it doesn't have to be Greece, but I just like Greece, basically. So let's have a look at the canvas I'm actually working on today. This is a 30 by 12 inch canvas. It's quite a long, thin thing. And I've got a few of these in the studio, and I thought I would use them up. But before we look at that, you can see on the palette that I got some brushes soaking in some water. So I'm just using a selection of brushes today. There we go. Some short flats and some filberts and a small detail brush, and I might pick up another brush as I go along. But you can see my palette is quite messy because I've actually been using this to paint another lesson, but that's fine, I just wanted to use the colours up that was on here. I've got some Van Dyke brown. If I'm going to do Van Dyke brown, use a little bit of burnt umber and a little bit of black just to get a dark brown basically. I've got some raw sienna, I've got some burnt umber, some black, some white, and I've got a little bit of, what's it called? Napels Yellow. There we are. I found a jar of Napels Yellow that I had lying around, so I thought that was a good idea to actually use that up. And that's it. That's the colours I'm going to be using. Now I'm going to try and do, let me just put these brushes one side. I'm going to try and utilise this lesson today, and I did a lesson a couple of weeks ago with a glaze over some black and white leaves and showed you how to do some foliage and that. So I've got a mind to try and do that as well today and try and incorporate that into a lesson. But for today, let's just use a little bit of white, a little bit of that Naples Yellow. If you haven't got a Naples Yellow, just use a CADMIUM Yellow, medium or dark, and add some white to it, or add that to white, I should say. Add some yellow to white, and you're going to get roughly this colour anyway. But as I said, I had some Naples Yellow there, so I thought I would use that up. There we go. So because the nature of this setup and this canvas, I'm going to have to alter the angles of one of the cameras a little bit. So I'm going to keep looking over my shoulder to make sure that I'm filming what I'm painting. So let's start. This is the top part of and this is a deep edge canvas, by the way, but I'll paint around the edge later on. These wonderful canvases, actually, these deep edge canvases, because it means you don't have to frame them. But I will be going around and painting the edge as I do it, because I'm not going to do that edge. I'll just do this edge as I'm coming down. It's easier. I'll only have 3 edges left to paint then. And what I'll do is, because this was drawn out onto canvas, and then I put a light coating of, the canvas was gessoed, and then I drew the scene, and afterwards I put a light coating of gesso over it, so the carbon off my pencil wouldn't, or charcoal if you use charcoal, wouldn't smudge. Should be quite a reasonably quick painting, this one. And I want it a nice bright looking wall. That's a wall there, and that's a wall there, but you will see the difference in that now when I actually finish the block out. We'll be putting a few different tones of colour into this. And if you've painted with me before, you know that I love the canvas, parts of the canvas showing through. I don't put a lot of thick paint on. I just tend to work in very thin layers. Do you have to do that? Well, no, not really, because it all depends on your style of painting. You paint whatever way, whichever way you want to paint. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Learn by others, but try not to mimic them. Find your own style. There we go. That's the first little bit. I first visited Greece, it's over 10 years ago, maybe longer, in fact. And I'm just trying to. I painted over a line I didn't want to paint over then. I first visited Greece. Oh, it must be 15 years ago now. Got to be 15 years, at least 15 years. I would imagine. I hope so. I hope it's not longer than that, because then this is going to make me feel old. Sylvie, and actually, it is 15 years. Actually, 17 years. Let me think. Yeah, 17 years. I'll tell you why I'm thinking. My father passed away when I was on holiday that year, and we were in Sylvie, which is a Greek island, a lovely island to go to. And we were there for about we were there for 2 weeks, but it was about midweek in the first week when we had a phone call saying that my father had passed away, and which is very sad. I had a bit of an argument with him before we went over, as we do in families. I did make my peace with my father, but and he did give me £100. He said, "You are, son, put this in your pocket." He said, "I won't be here when you come back." He used to say that, and I said, "Dad," I said, "don't say that, because one day it might happen." And unfortunately, this particular instance, it did. Anyway, I digress. And you can see I'm just putting this paint on in little blocks. This is supposed to represent the colour of the wall, and that's all I'm working on at the moment. I'm just going around my lines. I'm going to be filling them in a second. So, unfortunately, yeah, he passed away. I had the phone call. The holiday rep come to the apartment and said my father passed away, and I wanted to try and get back home. It's about a 4-hour flight from the UK to Sylvie. But it would have meant me leaving my wife behind and coming on my own, because unfortunately I couldn't get a flight for 2 people. I could only get a flight for 1 person, and I explained that to my mum at the time, and she said, "Look, Clive," she said, "don't worry about it. Dad wouldn't want you to leave Jane there, and you know, just get back when you can, basically." So I missed my father's funeral, which is quite upsetting, really. I've gone in a little bit darker here, not too much. But my mother, love her, we got home. It's about a week and a half later, and my mother had arranged another ceremony in the church, and at the graveside. I wasn't watching what I was doing, Luxie. There we go. At the graveside, for Dad, I'm going to put a little bit of raw sienna onto the one side now. I want to see what that does. I want to warm that up. I want to red it up a little bit. See, that's a lovely type of colour. It's a lovely shadow colour. And yes, it was quite nice to have that little bit of a closure with my dad, and all was good. There we go. Then the following year, I went back to Sylvie, and the previous year, the year my father died, we were actually on a day trip, and we found this lovely monastery. And I thought, yeah, well, if I ever come back, I'll visit there again, because it was quite nice. It was quite a serene place, you know. And so we did. I hired a car that particular year, which was the year after my father passed away. And off we sped around this lovely Greek island. We found a few lovely places. And actually went into the monastery then, and lit a candle for my mum, for my father, and which was, I thought, was quite fitting at the time. And there we go. Right, now let's get some. I want to get a bit of burnt umber now into this colour, because this is going to be a shadowy colour. And again, it's currently very early in the morning here. Let's see, just checking my camera, making sure that I'm actually filming what you can see. Let's zoom this one out a touch. There you go. That's the only trouble with working on these type of canvases, especially when you're filming. And I got my easel set up quite low as well. Never went back. Well, actually, we did. We went to Agassi, which is on the same island there. We did go there again, actually, another year. We didn't go back to Sylvie, but we went back to Agassi, which is quite a nice place then. That was quite nice. I've always wanted to visit Egypt, actually, but my daughter been to Egypt and she said it was quite frightening, in fact, because the unrest they got over there at the moment with people walking around with guns, and she said it's quite scary on the buses and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give that one a miss for the moment. We've had several holidays in Cyprus, which is just off the Turkish border. I think it's about 20 or 30 miles off the coast of Turkey, in fact. It's not. I've been to Turkey, been to Marmaris and around the Istanbul area, so it was quite nice there. Well, maybe I should do a painting of Egypt, so maybe do the painting of the pyramids and that. Who knows? We'll see. Well, it is earlier in the morning. Earlier in the morning. It's that early. I can't speak. It's quite earlier this morning because I've been working in the studio. I've been busy in my day job, but I've also been busy decorating my house. I've been doing a little bit of painting around the house, and I'm going to put the shadows in later on. I'm just blocking out some colour at the moment because we've got some sunlight. I want to try and I've seen a John Sargent painting a while ago, and the way he played with light with paint was amazing. So I'm never going to be that good, but I want to try and capture the essence of light here, because I want to put some these are vines. I don't know if they might be grapevines or something. I don't know. They might be. There we go. So let's continue to build this colour up together. I want this this is my shadow colour, so I'm going to add a little bit of burnt umber again to it. I don't want it too dark. I want it a little bit brighter. I want a bit brighter than that. And just play just play with colours. I got a bit of burnt umber over there. You can see I'm just using one brush at the moment. Yeah, that's better. I've got a little bit of contrast now, just on the side of that step, like that. There you go. Just dragging along very gently. I'm going to continue that colour. I noticed these steps over there. They'd been down for like hundreds of years, I would imagine. And they were quite. They were. You could see a little dip in the top of the step. And the other time I seen that, because when you're an artist, you tend to observe things like this that you normally would miss if you're walking about. And I noticed the steps on. I noticed the steps on London Bridge, going up to the Tower Bridge, I should say, not London Bridge, but going up to the Tower Bridge. I noticed the steps had a bit of a curve in them as well. You see, I'm just dragging the brush with a little bit of darker paint over the lighter paint, just to get that essence of shadow. What I'll do is I'll take a picture of this and I'll just put it up on my shop page for you. And you can just download this. It'll be free, and that's going to give you the opportunity to work from the painting. I'm not going to make a tracing of this. I haven't got a mind to anyway. If I do a tracing for this, I will make that available, but I don't know yet. There we go. Let's just put that. So this can be uneven. The step doesn't have to be that even, see, which is good. That means we don't have to draw any straight lines, do we? Just checking my cameras. Hello. I forgot to put one of my lights on. Don't tell anybody. My, Delilah. I'm getting lost in the moment now. And you see, I'm just putting a little bit of colour into them steps. I'm gonna put my brush one side. I'm gonna have a sup of my tea because I think it's gone cold. I'm just having a little think. What I didn't put on my palette was I wanted to put. I knew I missed a colour. I've got a bit of cerulean blue, which I'm going to plop by here. because we want to put the doors in. But before I do that, I'm just going to pick up a filbert brush. This is a small, tiny, round-headed. It's curved on the top. That's why it's called a filbert. It's curved on the top, and it's quite nice for doing little detailed work like this. I'm just going to put a shadow line. Nearly did it again then. I should put that on. Oh no. Just altered my one camera. I put it on autofocus. So I might go in and out of focus as I move on the one camera. This is just a wet brush, which I'm just dragging across like that. It's just giving me a little bit of a shadow line, which I'm just going to push down like this. This is just a wet brush, so I can get that smooth transition there. The shadows are not sharp, are they, really, if you think about it? There's going to be another shadow line just under there, like that. That's the window sill. There you go. Give that a little bit of contrast in a second. I'm going into some burnt umber, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to block these windows out. If you've visited Greece, let me know in the comments. It would be nice to know about your adventures. As I visited London a couple of weeks ago, and in fact I'm going to London again this year with Jason Bowen of Jason Bowen Art, and we're going to be going around all the galleries there. So I quite like London, in fact. My mother's originally from London, so my wife is a Londoner as well. So I don't know. Perhaps it's in my blood. We've been going to Tenerife lately on holidays because I found that Cyprus is just a little bit too hot for me. I've got a little bit of asthma, not a lot, but just enough to cause a breathing issue, which I've got. And I'm not. You could use a straight edge for this. You could actually put a straight edge up and paint down, but I like the roughness of. I don't like anything too accurate. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't like things too accurate. I really don't. I like the look that they've been painted. So I'm just putting some shadow lines in. Is it accurate? Does it matter? No. I hate things being perfect. Certain things you've got to be perfect. You've got to go through life and things have got to be right and accurate. But painting, I just like to let myself go with the flow, as they say. Let myself go with the flow. Just going to put that brush down. I'm going to get a little bit more burnt umber to that shadow colour I've made up there. you go. Go back into this wall colour. Just give it a little bit of definition, maybe get a bit more darker colour in there. Just emphasise that edge. It's all about contrast really, to get this to look as if it's a windowsill and it's standing away from that wall there. Don't forget we can put a wash of colour over that, can't we? Going into the lighter colour and then just blending that in, just to marry that together. Get this darker colour now and come down this edge. A little bit more there like that. So if I'm going bright to this one side and dark to that side, it looks as if that's in front of that. That's what I'm trying to accomplish there. And you can see that wall is starting to come together now. This is going to be slightly darker under there. So let's just get a bit of dark in there. I'm just going to change my brush, pick up my little Filbert brush that I was using a minute ago, and I'm just going to play around with a little bit of this colour now. Using a bit of a dry brushing technique. Right, so that's gone a little bit dark. It's a little bit darker than I wanted, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try this. Now if I keep putting white paint or a lighter paint over that, it's just going to merge with that dark colour that I put on a bit heavy, which I will admit, I did put it on a bit heavy. So what I'm going to have to do now is wait for that particular section to dry, I think, and then I can come back to it. And don't let me forget, because I do tend to forget these things. Right, so I'm just going to put a bit of shadow in on that edge there. And then I'm going to put a bit of light in on this top edge here. You might be wondering where this cerulean blue is going to come in. I'll do that on the next stage, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and I'm going to let that dry for a bit. And then I'll be back like that. And I'm back. Now I do apologise in advance because my overhead camera didn't work for some unknown reason. I don't know why. When I went to switch it off, it was already off. So maybe I forgot to switch it on. I don't know. But it's very early in the morning here, so I'm not surprised. So there we are. I do apologise for that. Now, what we're going to do is move straight on to this painting. I want to go into the cerulean blue. This is a lovely blue. It's a little bit on a green biased, and I'm just going to add some white to that. And this is going to, I want to make it quite light for the moment, because I want to put some shadow colour in. And just add a little bit more blue to the mix. And I'm going to put this blue in like this. Because you see this colour quite a lot in the Mediterranean. Lovely, lovely bright colours and make everything look nice and inviting. I'm just going to do one door at a time because I should have done those slats first, I think. But we'll work around that. Sometimes you can over thin your acrylics, so just be very careful. I'm not using a lot of medium, or that's my matte medium, my medium mix there, which you can buy on the website, or you can just use water. There's a little bit of retarder in there actually, in that water. Now that is a boiled, cooled water which I use. I just find it's just better to use that. You can use ordinary household tap water if you want to. It shouldn't be a problem. People say, oh, you know, if you use just ordinary water, will it go mouldy? And my answer to that is not really, no, because acrylics form a nice hard plastic skin. So it doesn't really matter. The only thing you've got to be careful of is over thinning acrylics. There's a rule of no more than 40%. Can be up to 45%. It all depends on the manufacturer, really, to be quite honest. And when you consider things like egg temperas and egg glares, and you think of milk paints, and yes, you can make paint out of milk. I will be doing that shortly. And the old medieval type of paints, well, they didn't worry about using all that. Now egg dries rock hard, in fact, and once it's cured, it's pretty good. Once the skin is formed on the paint, then the air can't get at the product. In that case, it may be egg yolk. It won't get to the product, so it can't go mouldy unless the air can get at it. So if it's a good skin on the paint, then it should be fine. Just making nice sharp lines. There we are, that's the first bit of colour going in there. I should have done this bit over here first, shouldn't I? That's wet now. Okay, let's carry on. Yeah, so it's if you think about all these paints, and the people say he's tracing, cheating and all that, and you've heard me say so many times that all these old masters used to use what they used to say, what used to be called cartooning, and there used to be one major drawing they used to keep as a master copy, and they used to just use a tracing from it. So you can see in a lot of paintings by the same artist, you'll see that certain things in those paintings are repeated. Like if they were doing a lot of people in the scene, you will see that quite a few of these people are very similar, and they use the same cartoon on all these different paintings, which is so it's not cheating really, is it? It's just learning from the masters. There you go. I'm in the mind, as I said earlier during the beginning of this lesson, I'm in the mind of doing some foliage like I did previously with a glaze. I'll put that actually in the iCards for you to have a look at. Put that in the iCards, that lesson. Go and check it out. It's really good. You'll learn a lot. I'm in no particular rush to get this finished today, so it could be a long lesson. I've just had my breakfast, because I was going to go in just for a cup of tea, but I decided to have a nice bacon sandwich instead, which was really nice. Bit of tomato ketchup. Can't beat a bit of bacon. If you're a vegetarian, then obviously you can. Buy some corn. And actually, corn is quite nice. The corn is quite nice. Yes, you can get corn sausages and everything. And I always thought, I don't know if I quite fancy a vegetarian sausage, but I'll be honest with you. That corn, I could quite easily. I could quite easily get used to it. That's looking pretty good. I'm gonna let that dry off now, and I'm gonna do a little bit more work onto these steps here. So I want to go back in and find my little short flat that I used earlier, and go back into these colours. And what I'm going to do now is going to add a bit more paint into these steps like that. Just use a couple of different shades like this. We can put some more shadow on them. Just lighten up what we've already covered. As I said, I don't mind a little bit of that texture coming through. A lot of these canvases, believe it or not, are not canvas. They are actually like a very, very thick gauze. And this is, if you get a true canvas, let's just add a little bit more colour to this. So I've used a Napels Yellow and some white. I'm going to put a bit of raw sienna to it. There you go. They use a thick gauze, in fact, and if you've used a real canvas, you go, wow, that's thick. until you've actually tried painting on a true canvas, then you don't realize. You don't realize the difference. So. Sharpening up a couple of edge marks like that. Yeah, so always be wary. A lot of these craft canvases are just gauze, so if you're serious about your painting, you can quite easily make your own canvases, and there's no reason why you can't do that. People shy away sometimes from something that they think is too difficult for them, but that's why you were here and you were learning. It's simple. It's like everything else. If you start making your own canvases, especially if you're doing a lot of painting to sell and commission work and things like that, it's always advisable to possibly make your own canvases, because you'll get a little bit more money for your work then. Yes, you've got to make the canvases, but the pleasure in making something from start to finish. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you start with some raw materials like a canvas that you've purchased and some wood, and you get the wood cut. You can get the wood cut for you. That's not cheating. You can get the wood cut for you, and let's put a bit of contrast in there like that. This is really bad. This video is all over the shop today. I'm not concentrating enough. It's lovely to be able to get. It's lovely to be able to get a painting that you've created from start to finish, really. So you've made your frame, you've selected your canvas, and you make your own gesso, even if it's just with PVA glue or something. Or you can use rabbit skin glue if it's the traditional way. Yes. If you want to take things even further, like I do, you can actually make your own paint. So when I got a commission, it all bases itself on how much I'm going to charge is how much they want from my work. Do they want everything handmade, or do they want shop bought? Because obviously if I was doing something like this and it was all handmade paints and handmade canvas and everything was made by hand basically, then I would be charging a lot more for it. So I do apologise for the mix-up on this video. I'm not happy with the way it's been filmed, but I'm going to leave that one camera there, I think, like that. At least I'll have a bit of footage then. There you go. Yes, it's a shame. I've mixed up a few different. It's just the canvas. It is. I'll be honest with you. It's because the canvas is long and thin. I'm so used to using the camera setup to film just one canvas, and I don't bother looking at the video. I haven't got my monitor to the side of me because I've changed the layout of the set. Changed the layout of the studio at the moment, so I haven't got my monitor set up. Normally you'll see me on other videos when I'm looking over there. That's because I'm looking at a monitor to making sure that what I am filming is right, and I got a little bit complacent, I think, thinking that I can do it without, and I can't. So there we go. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter. We will work from it, and we will make a lesson from it, and at the end of the day, that's all that counts, really. It's a bit of cutting and splicing, so I do apologise if there's a bit of a mix-up throughout the filming, but we'll say no more about it now. Pitter-patter of rain today. You can see the step is well worn, the way I painted it. I should be able to see the steps coming together now. Go. Let's put a bit more that down there. Steps are coming together. I'm going to take this to a sort of finished state. I think it's going to need quite a bit of refining. I'm going to make sure that I get the lesson to the point where I'm happy with letting the lesson go. But like many projects, I think if I start to get a nice feel for the painting, it might go on to a stage of refinement, which I tend to do if I want to just keep working on it, because some paintings I can work on for hours, some I can just finish within an hour. But if I do like a painting, then what I'll tend to do is I'll just refine it later on, after the lesson's finished. Otherwise it can get a bit boring, but all I want to try and do here is show you, take you to a stage where you can have a go then, and I know that it's refined enough, and then I can let you finish the painting to a standard where you are happy with it. So I'm just trying to create a little bit of depth. I got a little bit more light and dark to play around with there. So I'm trying to work there. I think I'm going to work on this section here a little bit now. I'm just going to bring a bit more colour into that. I'm going to put a bit white, bit of Napels Yellow, a little bit of raw sienna, just to give a little bit of warmth. A little bit more. Maybe a bit of bend umber to it. I want to get a bit of warmth into this area. There, like that. I'm going to put some shadow effects and stuff in at a later stage. There you go. Put a bit more lighter colour on top of that as we progress, I think. Let's sharpen this line up a touch. So it's going to be things like that I'm going to be refining, I think. It's just making sure I got nice crisp lines and that. There you go. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm happy with that so far. So I'm just going to alter the camera angle on this particular camera. Okay, so where's my tea? I'm just going to, it's a little bit wet. I want to go over there, I want to paint that. So I'm going to need a slightly bigger detail brush. In fact, I'm going to use this angled short flat. There we go. It's just a short flat that's got an angle to it. And I want to paint in with this blue. When we go to Tenerife now, we go to a place called Agassi, which is a lovely place in Tenerife. We stayed at a fantastic hotel which is all inclusive, and if you've got a chance of going to an all inclusive hotel, then do that. But always make sure that you pay a little bit extra for an a la carte restaurant, but if you've got an a la carte all inclusive, all depends on funds really, then I would highly recommend that, because you know you've got quality of food. Because I have been in a couple of let's just say all inclusive restaurants, hotels in places like Cyprus that not that good, but you get what you pay for. So just remember that. And that's the same with paints, and that's the same with canvases, and that's the same with anything in life really. Cars, you get what you pay for. If you're going to buy a second-hand car for a couple of $100 or a couple of £100, then you're going to get a car that's only worth a couple of £100 in many ways. There you go. That looks quite nice. I'm going to put a line there as well. I quite like that. I do. I quite like that. I'm going to go straight into that brown. I haven't even washed my brush, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to put a couple of strips in here now. As I said, don't worry. Well, I'm not worried. You might be. I'm not worried if it's perfect. Louvedours. That's what they are. Some people think that these designed to keep the light out, and they're not. They're designed to keep the heat out. That's what they designed for originally, especially in the Mediterranean. They shut the blinds, these blinds, they shut them, and it stops the heat entering the house, so the house doesn't warm up. And they got marble floors and things like that. Everything in there to keep cool, basically. And the louver part, which is the vents, are designed to let the air in and the sun out. So the heat come from the sun is reflected by the bright colour of the door or the window, which is normally white or blue if you think about it, in a lot of cases. And that reflects the heat that the air can come in to ventilate the house. So there we go, we've learnt something new every day. Doesn't matter, this is all accurate, I don't mind in the least. So I'm going to come down there like that. I've seen similar paintings to this out in Greece and that, in the Med. And I noticed they're quite loosely painted, because they must be so hot they haven't got time to paint, so they just get it done as quick as possible. How are we looking? How many cameras are... Yeah, the cameras are looking okay. I think it's time now that I got a little detail brush and I put a bit of paint on the table and the chairs there, so what I'm going to do is use a Van Dyke brown, or you can use burnt umber and black, whichever works for you. I'm just going to get my cork on the end of the stick so I can rest my hand, and I'm going to lightly paint in a tabletop. like that. There you go. And we'll go across there. Into this brushes blade, in fact. We're gonna table leg come in like that. That goes underneath there like that. There you go. There's a little glass on the table. I'll just put a bit of shadow colour in that. So we don't lose that, we can paint that in later on. What I'm going to do now is the chair. Again, I'm just checking my cameras are running. That's what happens when you get up early in the morning and you do lessons. You're half asleep, you're not concentrating. And the reason I've been getting up early is because the studio has been getting really hot. And I've been finding it difficult to paint in heat. But this morning, it hasn't stopped raining, so I could have had an extra hour in bed. There you go, that's life. I'm just going to get a little bit of black just so I can edge this off there like that with a little bit of contrast. And again, let's bring in our chair leg in like this. Deep breaths when you're doing that. And then this leg comes in like that. I wouldn't like to sit on this chair. It doesn't look safe. There we are. I don't have to. That's the thing. It's all about refinement later on, I think. This is painting is going to be all about refinement. But I'll get it to a stage that I'm happy with today. And that's all that counts, I think. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to get my little filbert brush. I'm going to get a little bit of this raw sienna. I'm going to put a bit of white. That's actually my short flat, my angled flat, sorry. I'm going to get a bit of white. Oops. I want to lighten it up. Bringing in a little bit of reflection into this window glass because it is a bit dark over there. We have got a bit of shadow coming in there, but I just wanted to brighten up a touch. There you go. Go back into this colour. Got that edge coming down. There, like that. we need to bring this edge across there. Bring a bit of colour in. As we did earlier. Just to kill that lightness off a bit. But it's coming there, it's coming. I'm going to pick up some of this white and blue now. And now I'm just going to let's make it lighter. Lighter. Needs to be lighter than that. Oops. Oh well. We live and learn. Don't worry about making mistakes. That's what it's all about. The reason I'm doing these a bit lighter is because in my mind these slats are going to be catching a little bit of light. Whether that'll work, I don't know. But we will see. We will see. I'm just going to put a bit of light. I'm going to get a nice sharp edge there. Just going over that dark brown, just knocking them back a bit so they're not so bright of a colour. There we are, not so bright of a colour. Shadow in there. People think the shadows are like black, greys. And they're not really, are they? Sometimes you can just have a difference in tone of colour. You know, this casting a bit of a shadow, but just having that slightly different colour there is giving you that effect. I hope it is, anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to I just add a little bit of burnt umber to my brush just to give that extra feel, like as if there is a gap in that door there. A bit of burnt umber still on my brush, which I'm just going to scrub in. I'm going to pick up a bit of this lighter colour now, just to pick up some light. Like that. Okay, we're getting there. I need a lot more work to do on these slats yet, but we're getting there. Let's just do a bit more colouring in shadow. So we're using a bit of that neat cerulean blue for the moment. Let's do these slats. Keep loading my brush. That's important. I'm going to pick up a bit of that burnt umber flavour. There, like that. Flavour. Imagine having flavours of paint. What would be your favourite flavour? Would it be strawberry or vanilla? I don't know. You tell me. Let me know in the comments. If you could eat paint, what flavour would it be? What would be your favourite flavour of paint? That's nice. Okay, let's put a. I'm gonna put a shadow there, like that. Because we've got a cast shadow coming on there from the bottom of that seat. Starting having a little bit of dimension to it, I hope. I hope. I don't know. You tell me. Tell me what you think. Try and be, don't be too nasty though. Let's put a little handle on the door like that, maybe. I don't know. There you go. Whew. What do we do here? We went over the blue, didn't we? The blue. You know, this is the hardest bit, I think, of this painting is put the shading into this door. How does it look? It's looking pretty good. I think it's looking okay. I'm not sure. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. What do we do now? I think I'm gonna go back into this burnt umber, a bit of black, and I'm gonna work on this seat now. Bit burnt umber, a bit of black. I'm going to bring a bit of white over. We want some sort of reflection on this now. I concentrate, I don't talk much. It's difficult to do such a long painting sometimes and just keep talking, but normally I don't have any problems with talking. Ask a wife. I hope the thumbnail does this justice. Things like this are just so difficult to call done when we're working on these things. There's so much detail that we can add to this, and we tend to want to overwork something. And that's the other hard thing, is when you're painting like this, you tend to make mistakes when you're trying to talk as well, because I made that a bit thin now. There you go. Painting is a wonderful thing to relax the mind and body and spirit. It really is. It's such a healing pastime. This painting. It's really important that you're mindful of your breathing when you're doing this type of stuff, and it really does help. Trust me, it really does. That's looking a bit better now. I can see that. I can see the wood for the trees. Maybe a bit of raw sienna or white, maybe. A bit of raw sienna. Just mixing a bit of black and a bit of light brown together. And just trying to get that one's. What we can do now is get some highlight on this leg, I think. Maybe a bit there, like that. Just across the top of that. And maybe a bit in there, a bit there, like that. Just to give it a little bit of, there There you go. A little dot. A little dot of black. A little dot of black if we can get a dot of black. Makes it look as if it's a little nut or bolt or something sticking in there. There you go. So we've got our chair in place now. We've got a bit of a shadow from underneath it. Our blinds are not looking too bad. I think what I'm going to do is get a bit of this burnt umber and black. And I'm just going to line around this window now. And this is a type of detail that you can continue to do with this type of painting. There you go. Just to sharpen things up a touch, I think we can put a little bit of shadow and light on these handles. Don't know what type of handles they are, it doesn't really matter, does it? I'm just going to wet my brush, take the moisture off my brush with a bit of kitchen roller. Just drag that through. It's a bit of like a wash then. Very thin paint. Getting a little bit more dimension there. Ah, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm just going to have a little break because I need to go have another cup of tea. And I'm back. So I want to start putting some green in here, putting some foliage in. I'm toying with the idea of actually using that idea of putting a glaze on it, but I don't know if it's going to work now the way I want it to. As this is starting to grow, I'm starting to see things differently. But I've got a short flat and some burnt umber here, so I'm going to just put in some, no stalks, what are these things called? They're vines. There you go. Just put a few vines in. And I was just using burnt umber. If you haven't got burnt umber, just use sorry, Van Dyke brown. Just use burnt umber and some black. That should be more than enough. To give you the colour you're looking for. There you go. And we continue to put these vines in. They're quite crinkly old things these are. They get knobbly as well, that I remember. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I'm going to get a script lining brush in a second, just put some other thinner lines in. go. Let's get that down there like that. And as I said, I'm going to take this to a certain stage, and I can refine it later on, but I want you to just to get the feel for the painting at the moment. That's all I want. I'm going to put another line down there like that. It's just going to disappear behind there. So there's like another vine there. There we are. So we've got a vine come in quite nicely there. I got to monitor my cameras because I got to keep adjusting them. There you go. Because of this, the way I've actually put this. Well, the way I'm actually designed this around the canvas. And these tend to just wrap around each other like this, and they go everywhere they want, really. There you go. Just put a few little bits and pieces in there like that. I'm going to get a script lining brush now, which is a very long, thin brush like that. There you go. That's the long, thin brush. I don't know if I told you, but I've actually been moving my studio around, so I'm a bit everywhere at the moment. Just getting used to where things are. Okay, let's put one down like that. I'm using a bit of my medium mix. I'm thinning this down quite thinly. That's what you can do with this medium mix, which is nice. I'm going to bring some lines like this. We got these. This is quite a thick. I don't like that script liner. There's not much control to that one. Let me see if I can find another one. Let's try this one. Sometimes, if the brush doesn't work, change your brush. Okay, so let's put a couple of wiggly lines like that, because a lot of this is going to be covered in foliage in a minute, but we're just going to put, I don't know what's going to show through and what isn't going to show through, so maybe it's a grapevine. I don't know. Is it the grapevine? I'm not too sure. This is really difficult painting on this size canvas. It really is. I keep forgetting to adjust my cameras, and I keep missing out on certain shots. Never mind. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just drawing some lines in like that. We get this one coming down in front of the door like that. There you go. Right, I'm going to work on the foliage now. I'm just going to get a short flat, and I am actually going to use some burnt umber and some white. I don't have to use black and white for this like I did in the other one, as long as it's a dark tone. So we need to get, we'll just get some marks like this. Just move your brush around. There you go. Let me just make sure that I'm getting this in focus and you're not missing out on anything. I want this quite dark in there, so let's just get some burnt umber. Or a nice dark area. A little bit of light showing through here and there. There you go. Just get that. Move it about a bit. There we go, like this. Alternating between these colours, put a few. There, like that. Looks like a big massive vine foliage. These are going to be, these are heavy with grapes, these particular ones. Well, they will be. This is just the shadow that we put in at the moment. This is just the shadow that we put in at the moment. A little bit of mindfulness. What we're doing is we're trying to border our or frame our painting. Don't forget to do the edges, but I'm going to leave that till last. So I want this nice and dark up there like that. Or maybe I'll bring some dark in there. There you go. Be loose, be free, be loose. That's what we do. We paint away the stress of everyday life here in Wales and bring some leaves down there. That's just off shot, just off canvas. We can't see that bit. So let's just get some. Let's get some leaves and some foliage just down here as well now. I gotta keep remembering to move my camera. There you go. We could put another. We could put another vine in, just on the edge of this canvas like that, just to edge it off a bit. There you go. There won't be any grapes down here because people are walking up the steps and they're eating them on the way. That's my excuse, so I'm sticking to it. Okay, so let's get a bit of raw sienna mixed in with that Van Dyke brown. And let's just bring in a bit of more flavour to this vine. Maybe a little bit of white, because we need some highlight on these things. Here, there and everywhere. We can increase that a light effect in a second, but for now I'm just gonna put a little bit of contrast here and there. I'm waiting for that to dry a little bit more because we need to add some more white to this now. And let's put in a few more spots like this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and see if we can't put a glaze of, can we put a glaze of green over this? I'm not sure. Not sure. Maybe I'll just put some green in. I'm just putting some different tones in there at the moment. I'm going to have to stand up, I think, just to get this, because the light is shining on me. I'm going to put some green in that now. That's just our shadow colours. There we go. Looking at it now, I really need to look at the steps and get some shadowy colour. So we need some Napels Yellow, some white, some burnt umber. That was our shadow colour, wasn't it? Taking a little bit of excess off my brush, and I'm just gonna, I want it a little bit darker, a bit more Van Dyke brown. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some shadow of the vine like that, and we want that vine to come down there, maybe a little bit of light, just coming across there like that. Just intensifying the shadows just a touch. And now we can put some shadows on you. Using a thinnish type of mix. We just need to put some shadow marks in. Like as if it's some, well, we need to put the shadows in for the vines that we've just added, so just continue to do that. You want a broken type of pattern, one because it won't catch the eye too much, and the other is that imagine if you would, the light coming through the vines, and it's going to be casting shadow and light patterns on that wall. Again, this is going to be shadowy down there. Scrub it in, don't be afraid to scrub it in. You're not going to cause any trouble really with that. There you go. So we've got our steps coming in. What are we looking as far as that is concerned? Okay, so I'm gonna I want to intensify the shadow a bit more there. Okay, looking pretty good. We get in there slowly but surely. We get in there a little bit of blue and white just to put on this cup. I want a glass, I should say, not a cup. Just a little bit of white, just to. I need some pure white just on the tip of this, just to pick up some. A little bit of light there and there, a little bit of light across the top of that chair like that. What I'm going to do, I think, I'm going to wash this brush out. I'm going to make sure my brush is clean. I'm going to get a very light wash of, I'm going to thin that out with a little bit of retarded or medium mix, so it's more of a wash now. This is more of a wash. I want to just go over that door touch. There you are. Get a bit more light. Get a bit of white over there. A bit more light catching that door. And this is what I mean by you can play around for hours with this, putting details in and increasing contrast and putting shadows and highlights on there, and you can just play around and round and round and round, but you've got to find this point where you are happy to stop. And sometimes as artists we find that difficult. It's one of the most difficult things actually to find out, to say enough's enough. Because you can say I can go here now, I can put some white in there just to highlight a couple of slats. I can do the same there, and I can put a bit more white in here like this, because obviously there's a lot of light coming this way because it's bouncing off that chair's causing that shadow to hit. That means this is going to be a lot brighter. I'm not going to do any more really, I don't think, to this now, as far as the slats and stuff are concerned. I can darken up a section like this, and maybe put a little bit of light just down that edge there like that. It's looking quite nice, I think. We got that Mediterranean type of look about it. I want some green now. I'm gonna get some medium yellow onto my palette, and between the medium yellow and the lemon, the medium yellow and the Napels Yellow, I got some Mars Black there. I'm just going to add some yellow to the Mars Black, and I'm going to get a nice green a little bit of Napels Yellow to it as well. I'm not going to do the glazing like I wanted to do, because that's just going to take too much time for this video, and this video is coming along now, and I don't know what its final count is going to be as far as minutes is concerned, but I know I must be over an hour or so anyway. But I'm just putting a bit of green in just to bring a bit of colour into this. There we go. You could see that is working quite well with the brown I put in there. Again, I'm going to lighten that up even more. And now I'm going to be just putting in some lighter leaf marks like this. I'm just going to concentrate on this main area, and I can put them in individually after. I want a bit more black to that because I want it to be a little bit green. I'm adding Napels Yellow now, again, to just, I want to brighten it up a bit more white. And just dab in on now. Just dab in here and then here. Just to get that leaf shape. Don't have to be that accurate. This is looking quite nice as it is. And we can get a little bit of yellow now. Just mix what you've got on your brush. That's what I tend to do. Mix that directly into the yellow. So we got a yellower green, and then we can just highlight here and there. Now you could have done this with the glazing technique if you'd wanted to. I chose not to do that today because it's just basically for time. So I'm just going to leave that as it is for the moment. I'm going to move down to the bottom of the canvas now, and again I'm going to do the same thing. Just got a couple of dots of green on. They're going to be a little bit darker because of the shadow they're under. I'm just going to put my brush in my water. I'm going to pick up my Filbert brush and go into this yellow mix now, making sure my camera is focusing. I don't want it to focus on. And I'm just going to put some leaves on dots like that. as I said, work at this, get it to the point where you are happy with it, and everything will work out, trust me. We could put some grapes hanging like this. I don't know exactly how they hang, but we do that. Don't eat many grapes actually. Don't forget, they're not just all green. There's different stages of ripeness. that's what's happening here. Different stages of ripeness. There you are. You can do a better job than I can. They just look like leaves, but doesn't matter. And I think we need to just let that alone. And I hope you've enjoyed this particular lesson today. And as I said, it's on a 12 by 30 canvas, which was very difficult for me to film. I don't think I'll paint another one. But if you like what you've seen today, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. There's a subscription button in there. And as you can see, this is a wonderful, and as you can see, this is a wonderful painting throughout. So all I ask you to do is give me a thumbs up and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment box below. And until the next time, I'm painting away the stress of everyday life, and I'll see you then. Bye. And don't forget to click subscribe.